Hi, I'm Deborah Rubino. I'm the niece of Aaron B. Cohen, who was one of the original founders of the synagogue. But I think both my grandfather and my uncle would be astounded to know that 125 years later, the synagogue is still functioning, and not only functioning, it's thriving. And I think that's just an incredible tribute to these people who back in the late 1800s believed that Glen Cove needed a synagogue, needed a place for the Jewish families to gather together.
In 1897, some Jews found a home, a safe place to live in the heart of Glen Cove. Yiddish speakers from afar, lifted from strife, people filled with hopes and dreams, celebrating life. Giving Jews in congregation with so much to share, caring always for each other, we are one. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, a link to ancient traditions. We breathe as one, the door by door. Welcoming new generations, our doors open wide, helping repair the world. It's Chaim, our tree of life, teaching our children Torah to live by. A harmony of voices, we all live side by side, giving Jews in congregation with so much to share, caring always for each other, we are one. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, a link to ancient traditions. We breathe as one, the door of our door. A place for diversity, where every voice is heard. Beauty and splendor, this is Tiferet Israel. Empathy and kindness, a fusion of beliefs, looking to the future, following our dreams. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, building a bright future. We breathe as one, the door of our door. We are one.
It's such an honor to speak on behalf of CTI. Our congregation continues to represent the very best for our entire community. You know, to think 125 years of consecutive time together. Nowhere else do people come together and truly support, represent one another, but really look out for one another and absolutely accept one another for who we are, who our families are, and who we represent as families. Our children are so very fortunate to have our congregation to go to as a support, but also as a place to play, to enjoy one another, to get to just hang out and be themselves. You know, as a Vice President of Education for CTI, it really brings me great honor to speak on behalf of our congregation, just say thank you. Let's continue to be ourselves, celebrate one another, and we are just so fortunate to be together. So thank you.
My grandfather moved here in 1882, and Samuel Goldberg was one of the founding members, and my uncles were bar mitzvahed in the temple. I was bar mitzvahed there. And I remember how nervous I was. My son was bar mitzvahed there, Skylar. And so our roots go back a long time. I remember coming to Hebrew school in my baseball outfit because baseball was right after temple. I remember my father waking me up 7 o'clock in the morning before school and telling me after I was 13, we need a 10th for the minyan. And I was saying, are you joking? He says, it's an honor to be the 10th. You have to come. So, and I also remember at the end of the service, everyone having a little cup of scotch. I don't know if they still do that. I would see people walk from all ends of the Glen Cove just to walk to temple on those days. I remember going also when my father died, to say Kaddish. At the end of the service, they said, you know, it's customary to bring a bottle of liquor. So trying to fill the chest. The property that the temple's on right now, my two uncles donated to build the temple because it was a large piece of property with, I guess at the time, the temple was looking to build a new building and move. My father instilled in me that the giving and being part of the temple and, you know, what Jews went through during the Holocaust to survive. You know, they wanted to make sure that they stayed strong within their temple. And so, I have great memories from the temple. It's why we're so involved still to this day.
My grandparents moved to Glen Cove in 1918. They became members of the temple immediately. And I remember the temple on Continental, where I was part of the youth chorus that sang at Friday night services. That's my memory of the old temple, other than it was beautiful, and we used to all play on the railings on the steps. Then the new temple opened, and I was bat mitzvahed in this synagogue. However, the sanctuary was not yet completed, and so my bat mitzvah was held on a Friday night downstairs. And it was a wonderful place to be. It was very family oriented. My parents were both very active in this temple. My father's a past president. My mother was a member of the sisterhood, and I was part of the youth group that they had here. So lots of good memories from both the old and the new CTI.
My memories go way back, although the room behind us, that reception room, for years I couldn't go in there because I was very traumatized because my bris was in there, so I couldn't step foot in there. I actually go way back before this building was built as a little kid going to services in early Hebrew school on Continental. As people know, my grandparents were one of the founding fathers and mothers of the CTI. Not only I, but my father was bar mitzvahed here. I was bar mitzvahed here. My kids were bar mitzvahed and bat mitzvahed here. So we go way back. My bar mitzvah was a year after this place was completed. The first year we had services, all the walls were cinder blocks. That was half finished. And then when it was finished, thank God, I had my bar mitzvah right in the big ballroom and in the shul. Some memories. Hebrew school was packed with kids. I think I got my first kiss downstairs. We had a very active youth group, so I got a very good education here. And outside for the youth group, we had an annual fair, a carnival. People came from all over. was a great fundraiser. We even had celebrities of the time who were on children's TV, like Sonny Fox and Sandy Becker at the time. Eventually becoming president of the shul, being on the board. I also was a membership vice president. When I walk into the sanctuary, I can remember sitting with my grandmother for high holidays, sitting with my parents. And now I go into the memorial room, and there's all my members of my family up there, and it's bittersweet. But I have to say that Rabbi Huberman, Rabbi Irwin, and Cantor Gustavo, I believe, of all the clergy we ever had, have made perhaps the most profound influence in this place. If you don't know, our membership has been growing and growing. Something great is going on here.
Hi, this is Aaron Ain, and it brings me great joy to recognize and celebrate 125 years of Congregation Tifereth Israel. Amazing, and congratulations to the Shapiro family, longstanding members of the congregation and real leaders as well. I grew up in Tifereth, and over 60 years ago, went there for Hebrew school, had my bar mitzvah there. So did my 3 brothers and my sister. My grandfather joined the congregation when he came from Europe well over 100 years ago. And my grandfather had leadership roles at the congregation. My parents had leadership roles at the congregation. I remember my earliest memories sitting on my grandfather's lap in the sanctuary. As soon as I could wiggle out of my grandfather's lap, I'd go outside and I'd play in the big fields in front of the synagogue building. And so, try to spend as little time as possible in the sanctuary. My dad was the president of the congregation for a period, really was a center of our life in so many ways. While I don't live in New York anymore, and I haven't lived in New York for over 40 years, I still maintain my membership at Tifereth as a way to celebrate my ancestors. Thank you for keeping the traditions going forward, and my blessings to everyone. And thank you for this opportunity to offer my greetings.
In 1897, some Jews found a home, a safe place to live in the heart of Glen Cove. Yiddish speakers from afar, lifted from strife, people filled with hopes and dreams, celebrating life. Giving Jews in congregation with so much to share, caring always for each other, we are one. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, a link to ancient traditions. We breathe as one, the door by door. Welcoming new generations, our doors open wide, helping repair the world. It's Chaim, our tree of life, teaching our children Torah to live by. A harmony of voices, we all live side by side, giving Jews in congregation with so much to share, caring always for each other, we are one. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, a link to unity, where every voice is heard. Beauty and splendor, this is different Israel. Empathy and kindness, a fusion of beliefs, looking to the future, following our dreams. We are Tiferet Israel, holy place for Tikkun Olam, where harmony abounds and everyone is cherished. Bless Tiferet Israel, building a bright future